I have to be honest with you. Watching HGTV and deciding it's time to build a new home might be a disaster for you and your budget. And if you're not careful, this might end up costing you $30,000 or $40,000. Not your builder, not your agent, just the things you're watching on HGTV, right? We watch all of these beautiful design home studio shows, and it's like they do all these amazing things, and then you walk in and you've got like, a realistic budget, and it just, you're like, I can't get the thing I want based on what I saw on TV, and then I just spend so much in upgrades, and I don't want that for you, right? So if you're considering building a new home here in DFW, I want to walk you through the design, kind of the process, and maybe some things to think about as you're working through this. So there'll be some practical things like, hey, maybe spend money on this, but don't spend money on this. But a lot of this, I think, is just going to be mindset and just things to prepare you as you're getting ready to do this design appointment, because it's a big deal. And if you don't get this right, you might have a lot of regret, and you might spend a whole lot of money that you didn't need to spend in a blink of an eye, just like that, right? So if we haven't met before, my name is Zach. My team and I, we sell new construction real estate here in DFW, and we do this every day with our buyers. So I want to kind of walk you through this framework of what to expect when it comes to designing and picking the things that go into your home when you're buying a new construction thing here in DFW. So we all know this is all the pretty things, right? So every builder does their design appointments a little bit differently. Some of them do them in their model homes. Some of them have a full design center that they own and everything in there is available. Some of them contract it to another design studio and they kind of walk you through it. Either way, you're going to meet with a designer and it's probably going to be about a 3 to 4 hour appointment, and you're going to pick everything in most cases: flooring, cabinets, countertops, grout colors. Like, there's so many things that you're going to get into, right? And I want you to understand that most of the time, this is not a full custom home. So if you're buying from a production builder, a Highland, a Perry, a Bloomfield, a Pace Setter, a Graham Hart, any of those type builders, this is not a full custom. This is not, hey, do whatever you want, however you want. This is like, they're giving you the menu and saying, here's what's on our menu that you can put in your house. And here's where you need to kind of spend your money. So most builders, I will tell you, the most important priority is your structural options. Now, most of them are going to require you to pick these things at the time of your contract because they have to go on the permits, right? So this is hey, we're adding a 5th bedroom, or we're converting a closet to a powder bath, or we're extending the covered patio, or any of those options that change the plan structurally are gonna go on ahead of time. And then you're going to get into design and you're going to have to make hundreds of decisions, on how the home gets finished out. And I want to tell you, like, the biggest thing, I know this is going to sound super cliche, but you need to have some sort of a plan when you walk into the design center. Like, I know it's super overwhelming, and there's all these different things that you can look at. And some of the builders have gotten really good about sending out kind of, catalogs or lookbooks that you can look at once you're under contract. But take some time, and again, I know I was bashing HGTV. I just want to set the right expectation. Look at those things, look at Pinterest, look at TikTok, look at whatever, and have a general idea. Hey, we want our home to be light and airy. We want it to be more earthy. We have this vision in our head of what we can do. Because like, if you have a plan, that will make your design studio appointment go so much smoother. And the clients, honestly, I see that don't have a plan, that are just going to kind of fly in and go, woo, off the cuff, willy-nilly. They're the ones that blow a budget in like 90 minutes. And then we're left kind of looking back at it saying, hey, what did we do, right? So plan is probably the first thing. The second thing, typically most builders, and everybody does it a little bit differently, but in our experience, most of the builders, you're going to have 2 appointments. You're going to have a first appointment where that's the long one, where everything kind of gets picked. And then you're going to have a second appointment that's either like an email, a follow-up, or maybe you're back in person to finish out your selections, to make choices and finalize everything. Now, we always tell our clients, hey, it's easier. Let's kind of get everything on the wish list ahead of time on the first appointment. And then if we need to cut, most of the time you're leaving the design appointment with a full printout of all of the things you selected and the price, right? So if we go home and we figured out, hey, we need to cut here, we need to cut there, that gives you an opportunity to do it before you have to finalize those things. Now, I want to try and make some numbers feel real and tangible the best way I know how, right? Because everybody's, we're just going to upgrade a few things here and a few things there. And that's really great. And I think that's the right mentality to have. But the challenge in a design setting is it's not I mean, the big things are what's going to get you, but it really feels like it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's all the little decisions that add up, and you're like, oh yeah, well, we'll spend 200 over there, and there's 700 over there, and there's 1,200 there, and then you're like, wait a minute. You get to the end and they're like, yeah, hey, your design total is, $60,000. And you're like, oh, well, we wanted to spend 10. And I'm like, well, you're not going to do that, right? So that's where I want to give you kind of some realistic expectations of what we typically see people spend. Now, on average, and we, again, do this every day with clients, both on the inventory side and on the build side, but specifically on the build side, what we track with our clients, on average, we see people spend anywhere between 12 and probably 15 to 16% of the total of the base price to get to their total completed out home. And then we back out the design allotment that the builder gives you. So if they give you, 20,000 or whatever, so then you would spend your money and then, subtract that out or subtract that on your structural. But yeah, on average, about 15%, right? So there's, that's structural, that's design, that's, little incidentals here and there. Maybe it's a little bit on a lot in some cases. So on a $400,000 to $500,000 base price home, that easily becomes anywhere between $40,000 to $70,000. And I don't want you to be overwhelmed by that, but I want to set, like, when you go online and you're looking, you're like, oh, this floor plan starts at, $399. You're not buying the home that's going to be built for $399 unless you make no changes. That's like basic level brick, no structural options, tile in all of your main spaces, maybe even carpet in the living room, no paint, no like the ugly countertops, 12 by 12 tile on the backsplash, like nothing crazy. That's your base number, right? So, and then we've kind of got to work up from there. And I think it's important to frame this as like, hey, I want you to get the home that you love, and I want you to enjoy the process. And you guys have to live in the house, for however long you're gonna stay there, 5, 10, 7, 15, 20, whatever it is, right? So my job is not to spend your money. My job is to advise and say, hey, do this, maybe don't do that. Let me help set the right expectations. But so in speaking of right expectations, I just want to be abundantly clear to you. You're not going to buy a 3,000 square foot home and walk into the design center and tell them your budget is $15,000 and get your cabinets to the ceiling, get your waterfall countertop, and get your hardwood floors throughout the house. Like, it's just not going to happen, right? So I just want to give you, with as much love in my heart as I possibly can, the expectations need to be realistic of what you're going to spend when you go into design. The biggest things is going to cost you the most money is whatever you do on your flooring. So whether LVP, Revwood, engineered hardwood, wood look tile, flooring is going to be a big piece of it. The countertops, so whether you want granite or a quartzite or a quartz or I've had some people recently price a marble and then they found out how expensive that was and they very quickly walked away from that. Your countertops are going to be a big piece, and then the kitchen cabinets, right? So if you want, a lot of builders nowadays, they're charging a difference for painted cabinets versus stained cabinets. And if you want to change colors on the cabinet, there's going to be a charge there, right? I wish I could tell you exactly what it's going to be, but it really depends on the builder, and it depends on the community, because each builder has different standard features for different communities. So like this one community might get, the blue pin, super standard, but the other one might get, the AirPod standard. And then the third one gets both of those as standard features, but the price was different, right? So biggest things, flooring, cabinets, countertops, those are going to be the biggest things. And then we get into that, death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's like, okay, well, do you want this tile? Do you want that on the backsplash? Where do you want to see these things? And the designers, I will say, are really, really good at, typically they will ask you what you want your budget to be. Like, where do you expect to be budget wise? And they will try their best to show you, hey, this is a level 1, and to do a level 1, it's going to cost this much, right? And then to do a level 2, it's going to cost this much. And that pricing, I've had people go, oh, that pricing is not straightforward. It's not this. And it's like, it is, but they just don't know, like, if, you're building a 2,400 square foot home and the person next to you is building a 3,000 square foot home, well, the pricing is going to be more because of the material. They just have to use more material. So you need to have the right expectation. You're probably going to spend, typically we see builders give anywhere between 15 and about 30,000, maybe a little bit more. And again, higher your purchase price goes, the more we see in design. They're going to give you about, let's call it on average $20,000 to spend toward your design or your structural options. On average, I'm looking, so I've got my notes pulled up over here. In the last 60 days, we've done 7 design appointments. I've got things averaging. So I've got a $400,000 base price and they're at $28,000. I've got a $515,000 home and they're at $33,000, and they've got to back out their incentive dollars. I've got a $720,000 base and they're at almost $80,000, but they're doing hardwood floors in a lot of the spaces, right? So it really fluctuates and it really depends. So I just want to give you as much prep work as I can. Like, hey, just set the right expectation on your budget, and you're not going to walk in and think that, hey, you're going to do every single thing that you want for your $10,000 to $15,000. Now, I want to say this with as much grace and just kind of balance as possible. On the one hand, every decision you make, you're financing that as part of your mortgage, right? You're going to pay that out if you stay in the house over a course of 30 years. Now, you have to weigh the balance of, hey, do I want to pay this out and is it going to raise my mortgage, or do I want to, wait and do it later? And how much of a project do I want to take on in my new home? And that answer is different for everybody. I've had clients that are like, hey, we're just going to do standard everything because we know somebody that has a flooring company and they're going to come. We want these very specific floors and we're going to do that after the fact and we're just going to pay for it. Awesome. I have other people that are like, hey, you know what, Zach, I don't want any projects as soon as I move. Like, I'm buying a new house. I shouldn't have any projects. So let's just go ahead and get everything we want. So what happens when you go over budget? One, you probably are. Like, I'm just going to tell you, you probably are going to go over budget. How much? That's really up to you. You're $5,000 to $10,000 over budget. I always tell our clients, like, hey, why don't you, if let's say you wanted to be all in on your home after you did all the design and all the electrical, you wanted to be at let's call it 455, right? Okay, and you got everything you possibly wanted, or 90% of everything you wanted, and your total purchase price is now 462, right? So okay, so 455, and you got to 462. You're less than $10,000 over budget. Talk to the lender and just be like, hey, this is what we did. What does this do to our payment, right? $5,000 to $10,000 over budget. It could be, depending on your rate, anywhere between $30 to $60, maybe $90 in total payment. And then you have to answer the question, is this worth it for us? Basically, is getting all the things I want in my house worth, giving up coffee 2 days a week? I don't know. I can't answer that, but I want you to think with that right framing, right? I'm not telling you to please go in and overspend. I'm not telling you to go in and do nothing. I just want you to make a decision as best as you can with clarity and not with emotion, because the last thing I want you to do is be like, hey, we bought this big, massive, beautiful house and we could have got everything we wanted, but every stinking time I walk in the door, I'm missing this one thing. If I would have just spent the money, I don't want you to resent the house over something so small like that, right? Which leads me to this thought. If you're buying a home with a partner, you're buying it with your husband or your wife or significant other or your mom or whoever, please, I'm begging you, before we go to the design center, get on the same page, or at least get in the same book on what you have a desire for in terms of budget and what you have a desire for in terms of look. All right. Like, I can't tell you, we've had a couple design appointments recently where spouses were not on the same page, and it's like, oh, I like this. And it was like, oh, like nobody wanted to compromise. Right. So have that fight at the kitchen table. Please don't have that fight at the design center, because it just makes it awkward for all of us. So what are you looking for? What are you wanting to add? What are your most important things, and where do you want to be ideally budget wise so that we can kind of make the most of our time? Now, they're going to give you probably 3 to 4 hours, and people always ask, well, what if we go over? What if we go over? I promise you, they will keep you efficient. We're not going to go over your time. If you start to go over your time, there's something in there. They'll charge you. It's like something like $200 to $300 an hour. So we want to make sure we do the best we can with the time we're allotted with our professional designers. Have some sort of a plan. Again, the biggest things, cabinets, countertops, flooring, those are going to eat all of your money, and then you're going to get, small things, chop, all the way throughout the process, and then you'll see a full, running total. A lot of times you can stay with stuff that's standard. Sometimes there's things that make sense to upgrade, and it really depends. It's so funny, because there are things every time we do the design appointments, I'm like, oh, that would be crazy expensive. And then the designer's like, no, it's actually only this much. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like reasonable. Totally do that. And then there's other things that I think should be reasonable. It's like, well, it's, $40 billion in your firstborn. Not really. But you get the idea. It's like, well, why is it? And it's like, yeah, we don't know. That's just the price. Which leads me to this thought of, I need you to know the design center is not where we negotiate pricing, right? Your designer that for, you know, whether they work for the builder or they work for a company that the builder hires, or it's in their, you know, model home, they don't set the pricing there. So like if you decide, hey, you know, I could get this cheaper and I got people that could do that. Great. I love that for you, but you don't get to change the price. So we're not haggling at the design center. If it's $1,000 to put that backsplash on, it's $1,000 to put the backsplash on. Where we need to make sure we do is get, again, like we've talked about, get more money for your design on the front end, not try and haggle the price at the design center, because it's a lost cause. Like you're not going to negotiate anything there. I get it. Some things like we're like, oh, why does that cost that? I don't know. Why? This is what the vendor tells us. This is what the builder says. It's in our spreadsheet. We charge this. Do you want it? Yes or no? Just no. Save yourself the headache. Like the only thing you can control in that room is how you allocate your budget. You can't control what things cost. You can control what you allocate your budget to. Now, I've mentioned this briefly, but again, as you're building out your home, as you're thinking through the things that are the most important to you, I always want to err on the side of saying, hey, let's get the structural options right first, right? Those are the things that are going to be hard. Like you're not going to be able to add a third car garage later. You might be able to add a bathroom, but it's going to be difficult, right? Get all your square footage right. Get your additions right. Get your plumbing and stuff right. All of those things are probably the most important ones. And I will honestly tell you, in all of the homes that we've sold, nobody has ever regretted going bigger, right? So like when it comes down to it and it's like, hey, we can get the small house, but it's like decked out with all this pretty stuff, or we could get a little bit bigger home for about the same budget, but it's got less features. I've never, ever had somebody come back and be like, Zach, we really regret buying that bigger home. I have had people be like, man, we really wish we would have gone bigger, or we really wish we would have changed, you know, this structurally thing. Not once. Like structure is the skeleton, and I want you to get that right before you ever get into design center and then spend your money, you know, there. So if I was doing this, again, couple quick hitters for me: get your flooring right, you know, LVP, Revwood, anything like that. You like it, get it there. Spend your money in your master bathroom because you're going to spend time there every day. Rapid fire. I think waterfall countertops are out. I know a lot of people love them. I just don't like the price of them, but you know, to each their own. I am indifferent on the upper level cabinets. None of you guys are over 7 feet tall. I don't think they're worth it unless you have tons of things you want to store. I would do something maybe a little bit different. And the glass in the cabinets is expensive. I know you see them in all the model homes and they're like, oh, look, they got the glass shelves. Just know you're paying per sheet of glass. Don't do it. I'll give you a couple more. A couple things I was surprised by recently. A few builders have started offering accent paint, or like, hey, we'll paint a whole room, and it's been surprisingly affordable. Like we did one the other day, and it was like to do a whole theater room for accent paint was like $400. And I was like, I can't even get material and hire somebody for $400. Like, yeah, do that. That's awesome. So accent paint might be a good, you know, one surprising to get done right. Door hardware and like handles. So like the bathroom, like what do you call it? Like the faucets, the toilet paper rods, the towel rods. If they offer a color change on that, it's usually not crazy expensive. And those are the kind of things where it's like, hey, the pricing to get it all done versus the time it takes you. Like, have you ever counted all the doors and handles and things like that's kind of one of like do that, right? Let me give you kind of my rundown list. So if you missed everything else and you just kind of skip, you're like, I'm gonna skip to the end because that gives me all the best stuff at the end. I usually do. If you remember nothing else, remember this. This is kind of the framework I want you to live by. Priority 1, structural options. Priority 2, flooring, cabinets, countertops. 3 is your kitchen and your primary. 4 is all of your electrical. And then 5 is anything else that happens. Everything else is later. If you're gonna run out of money, I would much rather you do it at the bottom of the list, not at the top, right? So just kind of framework that. Speaking of, one thing about the money that you need to be aware of, every builder's policy is a little bit differently, works a little bit different, but they will probably require an additional deposit on your design selection. Some of them it's 50% of anything over a certain amount. So we did one last week and it was, hey, anything over $30,000, 50% of that, it goes on as a deposit after everything's finalized. Of course, it's credited to them as part of their closing cost money. So they spent, I think it was right at 40, and it was so 50% of anything over 40. So 10 or anything over 30. So $10,000, so $5,000 additional deposit. We can work with the builders on that, but just know that is probably, you're going to have a little bit more skin in the game with going with a build option. Now, it's on the sales rep to remember to collect that, and sometimes they forget. I will just tell you, but it's on them. But just expect, if you are going through the full build process here in North Texas, you're probably going to have more skin in that game. Now, you've made it this far, and I've got a couple other things, and I'll finish up with the things I would care about. But you've made it this far, and you have questions, or you're like, man, I really need somebody to represent me as we build in DFW, or we're coming to DFW and we've seen all these massive houses. We're here to help. Our contact information always down below. You can book a Zoom call and we can kind of have this one-to-one. Send me an email if you have questions or whatever. Again, whatever resources you need, we want to be able to help you with that. So just putting that out there. Now, if I was going to do this and I had probably $50,000, let's just say I had $50,000 to spend. Actually, you know what? We did do this recently. I can tell you what we prioritized and what we spent money on. So when we built our house, this is true. Like, I do this every day. Here's how I spent my money. I made sure I had a 3rd-car garage. Structurally, we added an extended patio and extended our master bedroom. And I added a super shower in my bathroom, and we converted our secondary tubs into showers. We did one of them. We still have a tub, and now that I have a newborn, I have talked to Link, like, man, I'm glad we don't need tubs. And now we have a baby, and I'm like, maybe I'm glad I have a tub. So maybe I change my mind on that. So structural options, got all of those things squared away. Cabinets, we did not go to the ceiling. We did 42-inch cabinets instead of going to the ceiling. We did not spend money on a sliding door because it's Texas and it gets friggin' hot. And then the other big piece of our money was flooring. We have hard surfaces throughout our entire house because I did not want any carpet, because we have 2 dogs that shed like freaking crazy and the allergies suck. And so we have hard surfaces everywhere. So that was kind of how we spent our money in our house. And those are the things I would prioritize. Oh, and my wife picked a really pretty backsplash because we had money left over. We did not put handles on cabinets with the builder. We did that afterwards. We did not pay them for lighting fixtures. We did that afterwards. We paid for electrical everywhere that we needed plugs and things like that, but fixtures, nah. Didn't do it. So hopefully that's helpful, giving you a little bit of a framework of how to walk through this, how to think about your design appointment. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Like, building a home is so much fun, and there's so many cool things that go into this. And I don't want it to be overwhelming for you. I want it to be an enjoyable, great process. HGTV is great entertainment, but it is terrible strategy for how to budget on a $500,000 build home that you're trying to work on, right? So I just want you to stop building for the camera, start building for your life. If you're curious and you're working through this, the other piece of this is like what to pick at electrical meetings. So like low voltage. So this is all your like plugs and cameras and cords. There's a video. We just recently updated this video. It's linked on the channel, and it's probably like, you could probably find it at the end of this video. Go check that one out. And that'll give you a complete picture of both your electrical and your design. And you'll be in really good shape walking into this to get ready to build your dream home. So here to help. If we can answer any questions, guys, appreciate you. Go check that one out, and I'll see you on our next video.